Speak to me, 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 speak to me.
You have to move it over.
'Cause all I want is to be close to you. All I want is to be close to you. Speak to me, 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 speak to me. 'Cause all I want is to be close to you.
Shabbat shalom, mate. We'll see you on with us, man.
I don't know what to do. I'm halfway gone crazy, going out my mind. And rest won't come easy until you speak to me. Speak to me, speak to me, speak to me, speak to and that's what I'll do. Yes, that's what I'll do. If I'm gonna find the highest mountain, if there's a man, I know it'll be okay if you hold my hand.
Honestly, I think I listened to that song like 7 times every day. I just need to go on about it. Speak to my heart. Speak to my heart.
Speak to my heart.
Shabbat shalom, Facebook fam. Shabbat shalom to all my peoples on YouTube. Shabbat shalom, better day.
Shabbat shalom.
I'd like to welcome each and every one of you to week 34 of the manifestation of the so-called black man, the so-called African American man. This afternoon, we'd like to give all praise, all glory, all honor to Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya and Precious Ruach. For those of you not familiar with the Hebrew, that is all praise unto the Most High in the name of Christ as well as the Holy Spirit. Once again, we'd like to welcome each and every one of you to week 34 of the manifestation of the so-called black man, of the so-called African American man, who is from the tribe of Judah, from the nation of Israel. We'd like to thank each and every one of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to join us today. We know you could have been anywhere in the world, so due to the fact you decided to join us, we do not take your time for granted. We're going to go straight into the Hebrew Credo. For those who may not know what it is, you can find us in Deuteronomy 6 chapter, verse 4. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya, Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya, Allahaya Nawa Ahaya Akkad. Shema Yasha Allah Ahaya, Allah Hayanawa Ahaya Khan. Hear, O Israel.
Hear, O Israel.
The Lord our Yah is one.
The Lord our Yah is one.
God. Once again, we'd like to welcome each one of you to week 34 of the manifestation of the so-called black man, of the so-called African American man, who is from the tribe of Judah, from the nation of Israel. How y'all feeling out there today? Better day? Y'all feeling good? Oh, halal. All praise. So we're really excited about today's lesson today. I want to go ahead and tell you it's going to be a detailed lesson today. It's going to be one that's going to require a lot of reading. We're going to get into the book of Jasher. So for those who do not have the book of Jasher, go ahead and look that up. Google that. The book of Jasher, ladies and gentlemen, is a record. It does not have an author. It's like a, how you describe it? It's like a record of all the elders. Yeah, in a sense. Where when Noah was around, he left records, and then it went to the next generation, they left records. And it's like one big collection of all of our ancestors right after the flood up until they're going into the promised land. So it's like Genesis is almost like a Cliff Notes, and Jasher is the full story. So you notice sometimes, like for example, you could be in Genesis 12, and you could be reading about Abraham leaving his area and coming into the land of Canaan, and then going down into Egypt, and then by chapter 13 he's coming out of Egypt, where you would think like, okay, this is just one chapter, but you don't know. That's like 20, 30 years. It's like bad time. So when you go into Jasher, it'll cover that time, and you'll see exactly all what happened. So today, because of the severity of the lesson, we have to go into the book of Jasher so that our brothers and sisters can see what's going on. Shabbat shalom to one, good seeing you on with us today. So today's lesson, we're not going to really take a lot of time in our open soliloquy because we have a lot to bring out today. So today's lesson is entitled, Pharaoh does not love you. Pharaoh does not love you. Now, a lot of our people have been caught up in recent events of that when you turn on a basketball game and you see on the court, Black Lives Matter, right? Or you look on the back of their jerseys and you see all kind of, words of they're supposed to be inspiring to us. And you see all these commercials when everybody talking about Black Lives Matter now, and you turn on the football game and they standing and saluting and kneeling and locking arms and all this. Our people these things are making some of our people feel all warm and fuzzy inside. Israel looking at it laughing. We laughing because we already know what it is. But for a lot of our people, they don't understand what it is. And so they're thinking now, because they're seeing this so-called racial, or what they call it, restructuring, reform or something, right? Mm-hmm. The systematic racial reform is what they're saying. You can't reform a whole system that's been built on destruction of the so-called black man. Your country got to be destroyed, which in essence is what they're doing. But that's another lesson for another time. So today, for those, I want to inform those who don't know and encourage those who may do know that Pharaoh does not love you. Okay? The leaders of this country, number one political and international policies and position is to support a people who hijack our identity and our heritage. Okay? So how can you use your number one political and international position and policy to support a nation, a people who hijack another people's identity and heritage? How can you believe that they have your best interests in heart? Okay? It's impossible. Okay? This country's main educational, religious, and socio-economical organizations and systems have went out of their way to teach our people to live exactly the opposite of what the Bible tells us to teach, to live. Okay? So how can we believe that this country is for us, that Pharaoh is for us, when they're constantly bombarding us in a direction to go opposite of the way the Most High is telling us to go? Okay? You don't love me if you're telling me to do things that's going to lead to my destruction. It's impossible. All right? So with their lips, and with these, very, elaborate speeches that these guys are giving, they have sold us on the idea that we are accepted and loved citizens just like everyone else. That's what they want us to believe. But I don't have to tell you that you're loved and you're accepted if you already feel loved and accepted. Okay? That's impossible. If Jade, you come into our house and you can get the chest plant every time you come to the house, right? What you need, the door barely cracked. What you need, fam? Okay. All right. Thanks, man. And then slam the door in your face. Are you going to believe that you're accepted and loved in our home? But no matter how many times I go live and say, shouts out to my cousin, but he know he can never come to our house, though. He know he can't get a meal there unless it's something left. And I say, yeah, man, I'll save you this little bit of burgers that we got left. So what I'm saying and what I'm doing ain't adding up, okay? So they tell us that they love us. They tell us that we're just like everyone else. But we know by the way they treat us, we can't be. Yet, the majority of our people are committed and devoted to the American way of life, while simultaneously disregarding the Most High and his law, statutes, and commandments. Simultaneously. Pharaoh does not love you, ladies and gentlemen. And what you're going to learn today is we're going to go back into the time that we were in our first Egyptian captivity, and you're going to see the same policies of Egypt. You're going to see them parallel to the policies that we're here in Sodom and Egypt today, as the Bible calls America in Revelation 11 and Revelation 13. Pharaoh does not love you, ladies and gentlemen. We're gonna prove that today with the scriptures. So let's start today with our foundation scripture. Let's go to Ecclesiastes 1. Okay. Like I said today, it's gonna be a lot. It's one of those days, but I promise you that when you get this information today, I promise you won't regret it. Okay. Ecclesiastes 1. All right. Ecclesiastes 1, we're going to look at verse 8, so like at verse 9 and 10 there. Ecclesiastes 1, we're going to look at verses 9 and 10 there. All right. Ecclesiastes 1, let's start at verse 9.
The thing that has been, it is that which shall be.
The thing that has been is the thing that shall be. Go ahead.
And that which is done is that which is that shall be done.
And that which is done is that which shall be done. Go ahead.
And there is no new thing under the sun.
And there is no new thing under the sun. I don't understand how our people believe that America suddenly is about to be different. From its inception, it hated and discriminated and oppressed the so-called black man. For the last 400 years, it has hated, discriminated, and oppressed the so-called black man. And now all of a sudden, just because a couple of commercials and a couple of t-shirts and a couple of slogans Now people believe everything is about to be different. Read that last part, Dick. He says what?
And there is no new thing under the sun.
There is no new thing under the sun. Go ahead.
Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new?
So the Most High said, listen, that's not going to be something that you're going to see. Like, yo, this is the new thing right here. Go ahead.
It has been already of old time.
It has been already of old time.
Which was before us.
Which was before us. Okay? Now they what they tell you is, I'm not going to show up to your house and drag you out and hang you. I'm just going to give you the information to make you hang yourself. Okay? That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make it seem as if your death is your idea. Okay? Your family's destruction is your idea. Because I'm going to put it in all the videos. I'm going to put it on your shows, and I'm going to call it reality TV when it's actual script. Okay? How can it be reality TV when you're following a script? Who's writing the script? Okay? So this is what we need to understand. That they have the same agenda that they've always had, but just yet our people are now starting to believe if it's something is different. Ladies and gentlemen, Pharaoh does not love you. All right? So let's go to 2 Esdras 1. I need you to hold that and get Sirach or Ecclesiasticus in your Apocrypha, chapter 12. All right? We're going to move through these first things really, really fast because when we get to Joshua is when we need to slow down. So if there's a question or something, y'all can stop me. But other than that, we're going to try to move really fast through these opening precepts. All right? Pharaoh does not love you. Let's go to 2 Esdras 1. I need you to hold that and get Sirach, the 12th chapter. Now, as we said in the outset, we talked about the fact that our people, large percentage of our people, are completely devoted to the American dream and the American way of life, to the religions of this world, the religions of the Gentiles, to the lifestyles in which people are living, while yet simultaneously disregarding what the Most High said. 2 Esdras 1, start at verse 7.
Am not I, even he that brought them out of the land of Egypt, from the house of bondage?
Right.
But they have provoked me unto wrath,
right,
and despised my counsel.
Ladies and gentlemen, regardless of what you may believe, the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment did not get you off a plantation. Okay? Abraham Lincoln never freed you. Newsflash, you're still a slave in America. Our people went from an involuntary slave to a voluntary slave. And they didn't realize it. They changed the game up in order for us to remain loyal to the system because they understood that the way the system was currently going in the late 1850s, 1860s, we were going to take them down and take the country over. So they had to come up with an idea to make us think that we were now part of the country. It's almost as if people have forgotten how we got to this country in the first place. We are the only ones, the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man, the so-called Hispanic, Latino, and the so-called Native Americans are the only three people in this country who are in this country and have the standing in this country outside of what we desired it to be. Everyone else made a decision to come here. The Native Americans, the so-called Hispanic and Latinos was here, they were took down and enslaved. The so-called black man was brought here in slave cargo ships. Okay? So we are the only ones, the children of Israel, the 12 tribes, are the only ones that are in this country that are living in a manner in which we never desired. The decisions were made for us. Okay? Yet, if you go back, you notice that we are always the ones who are oppressed. We are always the ones getting killed. We're the ones who make up the prison systems. We are the ones that's being destroyed. They want us to believe that coronavirus left Wuhan, China, jumped over the Atlantic Ocean, went past the suburbs, and went to a projects near you. to a Native American reservation near you, to a Hispanic community near you. They want us to believe that. And our people believe it. And they'll say, well, you know, you got diabetes, so that's how you got corona. But we got heart disease. That's why we got corona. And now, since we're the only ones with it, we're the only ones dying, now they're saying, guess what? We want you to be the first to get the vaccine. You ain't never wanted me to be first to get a job. When that money came out, you wasn't allowing me to be the first to get the stimulus checks and the small business loans. But you care about me now and you want me to get the vaccine. Just this week, the governor of Connecticut came out in the press conference and told the black church, you need to convince your people to be the first to take the vaccine. Now, he didn't say that to the white church. He told all the black churches need to get on board. Bill Gates' wife said, we're going to make sure that the blacks are the first to get the vaccine. Y'all understand? Watch this. Verse 8.
Pull thou off then the hair of thy head,
right,
and cast all evil upon them,
right?
For they have not been obedient unto my law.
For they have not been obedient to my law.
But it is a rebellious people.
But it's a rebellious people. And look at what he said in verse 9.
How long shall I forbade them?
Right?
Unto whom I have done so much
He
good.
said, how in the world, how long am I going to put up with these hard-headed children of mine for the ones that I have done so much good for? Imagine, man, just imagine your child giving somebody else glory and praise for what you've done. Just totally disregarding your hard work. Just totally disregarding your sacrifice and accrediting someone else for their success other than you. How would that make you feel? Well, this is what it leads to the Most High when they say, well, we are where we are because of civil rights. Abraham Lincoln freed the slaves. This is what it feels like to him. Watch this. Verse 26.
Whensoever ye shall call upon me, I will not hear you.
Right.
When you have defiled your hands with blood.
Right.
And your feet are swift to commit manslaughter.
Y'all see that? Moses said, listen, I'm not coming to you. You out there doing everything else. I'm not coming. You think Pharaoh gonna do it? Go check for him. How's that working out for us? Verse 27.
Ye have not, as it were, forsaken me.
You didn't forsake me,
but your own selves, saith the Most High.
Y'all see that? How many of y'all been in a relationship before, right? And the person was doing what they wanted to do, go talking to somebody else, and they thought they was actually getting over on you when they realized that person didn't have anything going on for them, and then now they actually hurt themselves by leaving you. Like they got worse because they left you. When the Most High said, you really didn't forsake me when you left me. You didn't forsake me when you didn't keep my law. Your life got worse when you walked away from me. You forsake yourself. This is what he's trying to get us to understand. It's not working following the Gentile gods. It's not working following Pharaoh, but yet our people don't want to hear it. Watch this, verse 28.
Thus saith the Almighty Yah.
Right.
Have I not prayed you as a father his sons?
Right.
As a mother her daughters, and a nurse her young babes, that you would be my people.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Most High has not done that for any other people in the world but the nation of Israel. He ain't begging the so-called white man to be his children. He ain't begging the Chinese man. He ain't begging the Arabs. He's not going out of his way to make sure that the Iranians and the Iraqis and the people of Islam and the Japanese be his people. But he's doing that for you. And see, these are the conversations that, unfortunately, that a lot of people don't want to hear. We get treated like dirt, but yet when you say this to our people about how the Most High loves you, they say, man, that's racist. That's mean. But then you go on to march for rights. You go on to beg somebody for rights to be equal. But when I tell you that the Most High said you are greater people above all people, you say that's wrong. That's bad. You see the brainwashing that our people is right now? You ever seen someone in a domestic violence relationship and you're sitting there looking at them like, yo, why are you here? Well, this is what the Most High is looking at us. We're in a domestic violence relationship with Pharaoh in America, and he's asking, why are you here? He does not love you. Watch this. Go ahead.
That ye should be my people,
right?
And I should be your young.
Uh-huh.
That ye would be my children, and I should be your father.
Man, who else he doing that for? Now, let's go to Sirach 12. So, I'm hoping today, ladies and gentlemen, that our people begin to make some decisions. But for those who choose not to make the decisions and not to make transitions, I want to remind you of this so that there won't be no confusion. Right? Sirach 12, verse 10.
Never trust thine enemy.
Never trust thine enemy. As I said before, a lot of our people have forgotten because they have what they think is a decent job, decent home. They have forgotten that how we got to this country. They have forgotten how you're being treated on a regular basis. It's as if they don't see it. It's not registered. It's amazing to me that our people don't see the Democratic Party as their enemy. When ever since the 1960s, our people have voted Democrat. How is that working out for our communities? I know that there are certain people amongst our so-called race that you're not supposed to say anything about. They can't take it if you say anything against them, right? So every time somebody brings up Barack Obama and they talk about how great he was, I let them go on and on. And then I said, so I would always ask two questions. How did your life change? And they look at you with a stick square because they only can give you the symbolic, emotional things. It was the first black president. Well, first of all, he's a Hamite. He's not an Israelite. Let's start with that. He's not one of us. His daddy was a Kenyan ruler of the king. They're Hamites. They're not Israelites. Let's just start with that. Okay. His mom was Esau. You're not one of us. He was a Manchurian candidate. Another lesson for another time, right? Okay. We ain't buying the hype. So how did your life change? Okay. And nobody can ever answer because they can only give you the symbolic gestures. You know how big this was? You know how big this was for us? It might have been big for you, but it wasn't for me. Okay. And then I asked, okay, so what did he do for our people? So no one has never been able to give me answer to those two questions. What he did for them, what he did for our people. No one. Okay. But if I tell you Hamashiach, who the one known to be Jesus Christ, is black, you say that don't matter. But you're talking about Barack is great because he was the first black president. But you got a black savior. And you say that don't matter. Do you understand? You see the depths of that? The savior being black don't matter. The apostles being black don't matter. But Barack being a black president is the highlight of your life. You understand? Right? Now, where we at, D? Read that again.
Never trust thine enemy.
Never trust your enemy.
For like as iron rusteth, so is his wickedness.
Right?
Though he humble himself.
And
go crouching.
Down.
Yet take good heed and beware of him, that thou shalt be unto him as though thou hast wiped a looking glass, and thou shalt know that his rust has not been altogether wiped away.
People were crying tears when Hillary Clinton lost to Donald Trump. And I said, yo, these are Christians now. I said, yo, don't y'all realize that she said her hero was Margaret Sanger? You know who Margaret Sanger is? You know she's the creator of Planned Parenthood. She called out people roots, she called out people weeds that need to be rooted out in America. The abortion clinics' total purpose for creation was to kill our children. And this woman is telling you that this is her hero, and you go vote for her. Mr. Crime Bill Joe Biden, his whole career as a senator has been dedicated to the devastation and destruction of our people. But yet you say this is the savior now. They're putting their in Kamala Harris. They didn't even black, by the way. That's another lesson for another time. But don't fall for that. Okay. You're Elamite. Okay. We know who you are, who's married to an Elamite. But all of a sudden now she's the new black savior. Who spent her career in California incarcerating black man after black man after black man. But they said we got to get Trump out of there though. And let's put in the real devil. The one that's smiling in your face. Pharaoh does not love you. Okay? Go ahead.
Set him not by thee.
Set him not by thee.
Lest when he has overthrown thee, he stand up in thy place. Neither let him sit at thy right hand, lest he seek to take thy seat. And thou at the last remember my words and be pricked therewith. Who will pity a charmer that is bitten with a serpent?
Read that again.
Who will pity a charmer that
is
bitten with a serpent?
Are you actually gonna have pity on somebody walk around with a snake in their hand? And they get bit, you're like, man, dude, you should have knew that, bro. Well, that's what I say every time when they come to me, talk about these political parties. Who pitied the charmer that's getting bit by the snake? You dealing with these guys. What do you think is gonna happen? Go ahead.
Or any such as come nigh wild beasts. So one that goeth to a sinner.
So that one to do what?
So one that goeth to a sinner.
So that one that goeth to a sinner
and is defiled with him.
In
his sins.
Who will pity? So if you going to a wicked and evil man and putting your trust in him, you think the Most High is going to pity you? I don't know what our people are thinking about, man. I don't get it. Talking about we picking the lesser of two evils. What verse is that? I'm going to choose the guy that's less evil, okay? What? I got a raper and a pedophile over here, right? And I got a murderer and a robber. Let's see. Well, I ain't got no children, so I can trust the pedophile. And then you get raped. It's the lesser of two evils, though, right? Right? All right, that's enough of that. Shabbat shalom, Ladon. Good to see you on with us today. Watch this. Now, let's go to, I need to speed this thing up. Let's go to Daniel, the 9th chapter. I need you to hold that and get Jeremiah 50. Let me remind our people of what's going on. Back in, ladies and gentlemen, in October 30th, 1938. Have anybody ever heard of a book called The War of the Worlds? There was a movie that was out a few years ago called The War of the Worlds. But the book, War of the Worlds, was actually written in the early 1900s, right? And a man by the name of Orson Welles was a very popular radio broadcaster, decided to come up with a live dramatization of the book War of the Worlds. So on October 30th, 1938, Slocky, he did a live broadcast and actually went through the War of the Worlds. He did mock news programs, news releases, all kinds of things to add to it, to make people believe that the world, that, you know, he was just acting out the book. But people didn't know that, and there was a panic throughout the country that lasted for about 3 days. What people really was believing that Martians was taking over the world. And they was believing it because he was presenting it as if it was a news anchor coming on, releasing information about Martians invading the world. Look it up. It's called The War of the Worlds, Orson Welles. It happened October 30th, 1938. Look this up. Even some sites on YouTube, you can actually listen to it. I mean, it sounded real. It's something like what we see in a movie today, but we see it all the time. But the people in 1938, they wasn't used to something like that. So you hearing a news broadcast come on and tell you, we coming in, emergency broadcast, our Earth has been invaded. There are Martians everywhere. There's panic in the streets. People went crazy. They started calling the police. And because so many people was calling, the circuits at that time were not strong enough to take all these calls at once. So the telephone lines went down. So they was telling people, he was reading the book. He was telling people getting killed. So people were believing it. They were trying to call their family members to check on them. They couldn't get up with them. So it caused the hysteria to grow. People actually thought their family was dead. People went to the streets. They started looting. They started rioting. It was mayhem all over America for like 2 to 3 days. It got so bad that they actually was going to press charges against this man. This is the power of media. That happened in 1938. Well, I'm bringing this out, ladies and gentlemen, today to tell you that what you've been seeing from March to now is the exact same thing. By using the news programs to announce to you every day, hey man, we lost another 1,000 today. You notice how in March they would give you the numbers, and then going forward, they would always attach the numbers to some horrific event. We reached the number that we lost in 9/11. Oh man, we lost just as many people that we lost in World War II. Oh man, the coronavirus has just took out as many people who died in the Vietnam War. So they would always attach the number to some horrific event. And people sitting home every day watching like, oh man, Corona's taking out more people than Vietnam, 9/11, World War II. Well, they don't talk about nothing on the news every night but coronavirus. They got the image in the background of this red little ugly little virus. They start out with, hey, we got some new cases today. You notice how now they just say cases. We got cases. But they don't tell you about the fact that in Charlotte the other day, it came out that they told 1,000 people that they had, and they didn't. They're not going to remove those numbers. They're not going to tell you the fact that the CDC was telling people that unless you died of a gunshot wound or what else, it was gunshot wound or something, or car wrecks, everybody else being, got corona. Remember they even tried to say George Floyd died of corona. Well, they said he got choked out. We watched it, But they say, it's because he had corona. That's his lungs already, it's already, it's already complicated, So the same thing what happened in 1938 by using the media. This is the hysteria that you're seeing today. And then also they'll come on the news and they'll go to a crowd, they'll go to a college, they'll go to a bar, they'll go to somebody's party and they'll show, look at these guys. All those guys are in there and they're not praying mass. They're putting our lives in danger. You stay in Wadesboro, North Carolina, and you're looking at a party in Ohio. Okay? And they're telling you, these guys are putting your life in danger. And people believe it. The same form of hysteria that happened then are happening now. But let me remind you something, ladies and gentlemen, of the real hysteria, the real mayhem, the real problem that is killing the so-called black man, the so-called Native American, the so-called Hispanic. Let me show you what it was, what it is, and it ain't corona. Let's go to Daniel 9. Let's start at verse 3. Watch this.
And I set my face unto the Most High Yah,
Right?
to seek by prayer and supplication with fasting and sackcloth and ashes. And I prayed unto the Most High, my Yah, and made my confession, and said, O Yah, the great and dreadful Yah, keeping the covenant and mercy to them that love him, to them that keep his
He
commandments.
said, keeping the covenant to who?
To them that love him,
To them that love him.
and to them that keep his commandments.
So that means, ladies and gentlemen, Daniel is telling us right now that there ain't no mercy coming to those who are not keeping the commandments. Right? Verse 5.
We have sinned.
We have sinned.
And have committed iniquity. And have done wickedly and have rebelled.
Right?
Even by departing from the precepts.
Even departed from thy precepts.
And from thy judgments.
And from thy judgments. Now we're going to go to a precept in a minute. I'm going to show you how important the precepts and the judgments is. Let me just give it, put the cart before the horse just for a second here. Normally in the Christian church, what do you have? A guy give you maybe 1 or 2 scriptures and preach hard for 45 minutes to an hour, sometimes 20, 30 minutes. No breakdown. 9 times out of 10, the verses don't have anything to really do in context of what he's talking about. But if it says it includes some words or some type of subject matter based on what he's trying to bring out, that's where they go. Okay? We call this the sermon. But the Most High told us, and we're going to see this in a minute, that you got to have precept to actually get understanding. How often do you see a pastor build upon what they're saying with precepts? You understand what I'm saying? Now, y'all be mindful of that verse when we get to Isaiah 28. Watch this, verse 6.
Neither have we hearkened unto thy servants, the prophets.
Now we're not even listening to the prophets anymore. Go ahead.
Which have spoken thy name to our kings,
right,
our princes, and our fathers, and to all the people of the land.
We've been told through the religion of Christianity, you don't got to worry about what Isaiah and Ezekiel and the boys talking about. You don't got to worry about that. That's done away with. You don't got to worry about that no more. We good. That's done away with. Right? Watch this. Verse 7.
O Most High, righteous belongeth unto thee, but unto us confusion of faces, as this day. But to the men of Judah and to the inhabitants of Jerusalem, and unto all Israel that are near, and that are far off through all the countries whither thou hast driven them.
Why?
Because of their trespass, and they have trespassed against thee.
He said, we are confused. We're in a state of confusion. Not because of the coronavirus. Not because we don't got no money. Not because of educational or reform. Okay. Not because of criminal justice reform. Okay. It's because we have walked away from the Most High. Watch this. Verse 8.
O Most High.
Oh, higher.
To us belongeth confusion of face,
right,
to our kings,
right,
to our princes and to our fathers.
Why?
Because we have sinned against thee.
We will remain in a state of confusion because we have sinned, not because the right president ain't been elected. Watch this. Verse 9.
To the Most High our Yah
Right.
belongeth mercies and forgiveness.
Right.
Though we have rebelled against him, neither have we obeyed the voice of the Most High our Yah,
Right.
to walk in his laws,
Right.
which he set before us by his servants, the prophets.
So mercy and forgiveness belongs to him, but we ain't even going back and asking for mercy and forgiveness because we don't feel like we did nothing wrong. We good. You see that? You ever notice when somebody do something that offends you and you want a proper apology and they say, I'm sorry, and you say sorry for what? And they can never tell you. So that lets you know they only just saying sorry to get back in good standing. There's no acknowledgement of what they actually done. I'm sorry, man. Or they'll say something like this. If what I did hurt you, I'm sorry. What do you mean if what you did? You know what you did. But this is how we dealing with the Most High. We just acting as we good, like, yo, we straight. That's a dangerous place to be in. How's this working out for us? Watch this. Verse 12? Verse 11?
Yea, all Israel have transgressed thy law.
All of Israel, all of us have transgressed his law. Go ahead.
Even departing, that they might not obey thy voice. Therefore, the curse is poured upon us.
What is word on theirs?
The curse.
No, Corona is.
The curse
Uh-huh.
is poured upon us.
Right.
And the oath that is written in the law of Moses, the servant of Yah, because we have sinned against him.
That's Deuteronomy 28. 15 through 68 is on us. But we're listening to a people who telling us that we don't got to worry about this. This curse ain't on us because of no money, because we ain't got the right education and technology. This is on us because we're breaking his law. But Pharaoh ain't telling us that. The religions of the Gentiles ain't telling us that. You think Joe Biden going to come out and if they get elected in January and say going forward, we're keeping law, statute, commandments? They're going to tell you, keep being a homosexual, keep aborting your child, keep fornicating. Listen, I told y'all last week, they told the people now, listen, if you meet somebody for a one-night stand, just wear a mask. Don't kiss no new people. This is coming from the media. Just wear a mask. This is America. They're not telling you, listen, man, put down fornication, put down this. No, just wear a mask. Not a condom, a mask. Why this curse that came on us deep?
Because we have sinned against him.
Uh-huh.
And he has confirmed his words.
And he had conformed his words.
Which he spake against us and against our judges that judged us,
right,
bringing upon us a great evil.
By doing what?
Bringing upon us a great evil.
He brought upon us a great evil. Go ahead.
For under the whole heaven has not been done as has been done upon Jerusalem.
Y'all see that? Daniel said, no one in the world has went through more than the children of Israel. Nobody. So when they try to attach their suffering to you, when some man that want to be a woman come to you and some dude that want to marry a man come to you talking about, yeah, we all been oppressed. Boys, get out of my face with that. You made a choice to be that. I was born this way. They hated me from birth. But they love you though. Really? You don't find that confusing? I've been looking to have that conversation with someone. that's living currently a homosexual lifestyle and ask her, how did they hate you before, but they love you now? How you celebrating now? You was hated before. How did you go from black to an African American now just because you wearing a dress? What happened? Why are they looking at you through a different lens? Pharaoh does not love you. Verse 13.
As it is written.
As it is written.
In the law of Moses.
Right.
All this evil is come upon us.
All this evil has come upon us.
Yet may we not our prayer before the Most High our Yah.
You see that? All this stuff is coming to us, but yet we're still going to the streets protesting. And there's been no prayer back to the Most High saying, what do we need to do to change? We're still believing that the political process is going to make a change when the political process is the one that's been taking advantage of us and not helping us get out of it. Going out of our way for us to remain in it. Go ahead.
That we might turn from our iniquities.
That we might turn from our iniquities.
And understand thy truth.
And understand thy truth. Now, go to Jeremiah 50. Got to speed this thing up here. Go to Jeremiah 50. Pharaoh does not love you. Jeremiah 50. Let's start at verse 4.
And in those days and in that time, saith the Most High, the children of Israel shall come, they and the children of Judah together, going and weeping. They shall go and seek the Most High their Yah.
See, this is where we at right now. As the 12 tribes are beginning to wake up, are beginning to find themselves, to begin to discover who they really are. Now we're coming back together each Shabbat now, and we're seeking the Most High. We're trying to find out who we are and what we're supposed to be. But watch this, verse 5.
They shall ask the way to Zion with their faces thitherward, saying, come, let us join ourselves to the Most High in a perpetual covenant that should not be forgotten.
And notice, especially since this thing has done went down this last few months, people that used to laugh at you, they asking questions now. People want to talk, they want to hear it out now. A couple years ago, you was a madman. Now, hey, what you're saying is making a little sense now. And we got to welcome with open arms. Because we know we was in the dark too. Right? Verse 6.
My people have been lost sheep.
My people have been lost sheep.
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Who caused them to go astray?
Their shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Now we're not going to do a blame game here for the Christian pastors. We're not going to do that. You understand, me being a former Christian pastor, understand fully that we were only doing the religion in which we were taught. But I want to show you something that's a lot deeper here. Hold your place there and go to Amos, the 3rd chapter. Let me show you the significance of what I mean by this. Amos, the 3rd chapter. Now, a lot of our people are starting to accept the fact that they, and when I use this word loosely, that they may be an Israelite. But they still want to hold on to the religion of Christianity. They still want to do Sunday service. They still want to do the pagan holidays. They still want to keep the doctrines of Baptist, Methodist, Zion, Kojic, full gospel, whatever the case may be. And they think just by acknowledging that they're not black, that that's all that matters. But it's a lot deeper than that. You see, we talk about this often, that we have what me and Deacon call Nicodemus experiences with pastors quite often, where they come to us outside of the eyes of the public, which is fine. But the problem is that even though they're acknowledging that we're Israel and trying to learn, they're still going back and teaching the same thing to their members. There's no significant change. This is the problem. Amos 3, verse 1.
Hear this word that the Most High has spoken against you, O children of Israel.
Right?
Against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying,
Saying what?
You only have I known of all the families of the earth.
He said, listen, you are the only people that I've ever dealt with on the face of this earth. Now, the religion of Christianity don't teach that. They'll tell you that, hey, the Most High dealing with everybody. I'm sorry. That don't add up to the Bible. Do we need to prove it? Let's prove it. Hold your place there. Go to Psalms 147. And then for another reference, you can go to Romans 9. We're not going to go there. We'll be there all day. But I can prove you with this Bible that it's not dealing with everybody else. What everybody else is teaching is Christianity. This true gospel is only given to Israelites. And only Israelites can teach it. This is why you see over in Matthew 24, when Yeshua, who the world knows to be Jesus, talks about that those who are going to come saying they're Christ are going to deceive many. He said there's going to be wars and rumors of wars. All these things are going to happen. And then he says at the end, then the gospel shall be preached. Why? It's at the end, because then is when the Israelites wake back up. I'm sorry, but you cannot learn this truth from the Gentiles. They don't have it. It was not given to them. It was given to us to wake them up and teach them, not the other way around. But it's unfortunate that our people don't want to even accept the fact that they're Israelite unless a Gentile tell them. Then all of a sudden now they be on board with it. But if we tell them that, they'll question it to the tip. This is the mindset that our people have, where you will downplay and question everything that comes from your people. But if it comes from one of them, it got to be the gospel. It got to be real. Psalms 147, verse 19. Watch this.
He showed his word unto Jacob.
He showed his word to who?
Unto Jacob.
Unto Esau.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the Chinese.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the American Revolution.
Unto Jacob.
Unto the Declaration of Independence.
Unto Jacob.
Go ahead.
His statutes and his judgments unto Israel.
Unto the United States Congress.
Unto Israel.
Uh-huh.
He has not dealt so with any nation.
He has not dealt so with any other nation. Go ahead.
And as for his judgments.
And as far as their judgments.
They have not known them.
They have not known them. That's the Bible. The Most High not dealing with other people. He's only dealing with Israel when it comes to teaching this gospel. This is why you see, since the fall of 70 AD, you have not heard the gospel in the earth, the true gospel, until the Israelites started waking back up. It's a hard pill to swallow. It's like my pastor say, it's tight, but it's right. Now go back to Amos 3. I'm gonna show you what I mean. Now, seeing that in Psalms 147, that he only dealing with Israel, he only gave his truth to Israel. Go to Amos 3, verse 1.
Hear this word that the Most High has spoken against you, O children of Israel, against the whole family which I brought up from the land of Egypt, saying.
Saying what?
You only have I known of all the families of the earth. Therefore, I will punish you.
Therefore, I'm gonna do what?
Punish you for all your iniquities.
Now, let me give you a practical example of this. Your child has a sleepover, right? Before that your child friend comes over, you have a conversation with them. Listen, this is what's going to be accepted in the house. You already know the rules. You know what it is. Okay? That child comes over. Your child forgets who your parent, who their mama and daddy is, breaks all the rules. Who's getting the whooping? Your child or the other child? See that? So the Most High don't care nothing about the religions of Christianity telling you to break the law. He don't care what the pastors in America are telling you. He doesn't care what the pastors in Europe are telling you. He said, if you don't follow my law, I'm punishing you. I gave it to you. I didn't give it to them. Y'all see that? And this is the problem that our people don't want to accept, so they keep talking about, well, they ain't doing it. Look at their church. They blessed by who? I didn't tell you to do that. I didn't tell them, I told you. So as long as Pharaoh telling you, you don't have to do it. You can be a homosexual, be a transgender. It's okay. Mosiah saying, you better not. Verse 3.
Can two walk together except they be agreed?
Sunday service don't matter. We can worship the Lord every day. That ain't what he told you. Can two or more walk together unless they agree? Now, having seen that understanding, go back to Jeremiah 50 and see what I mean by this. Verse 4, verse 5. No, it's like verse 6.
My people have been lost sheep.
My people have been lost sheep.
The shepherds have caused them to go astray.
Now you see how the shepherds have caused them to go astray? By teaching us Christianity. They caused us to go astray. It wasn't on purpose. It wasn't malicious. It still was devastating nonetheless. But this is the good news. Hold your place there. Now go back to Jeremiah 3. And look at what the Most High promised to do. Okay? Jeremiah 3, and look at deep verse 12.
Go and proclaim these words toward the north and say, Return thou backsliding Israel.
So now, our job for us that are awakened is to go to our people and tell them what deep?
Return thou backsliding Israel.
So return, O backsliding Israel,
saith the Most High.
Right?
And I will not cause my anger to fall upon you, for I am merciful, saith the Most High, and I will not keep my anger forever.
You see that? He said, listen, you go tell the people, come back to me, and I'll take my anger away and I'll give you mercy. He didn't tell us to go and sit down and formalize a political strategy. That's not what he told us. What else he say? Verse 13.
Only acknowledge that iniquity.
Only acknowledge that iniquity. This is another problem that our people have because they don't want to admit that they're sinners. I've been going to church all my life. You're still a sinner. I gave this amount of money. I done fed the poor. I did this. You're still a sinner. If you're breaking law, statutes, commandments, in the eyes of the Most High, you're a sinner. Doesn't make a difference what your religion tells you. Don't make a difference what the standard of your church is. The only thing that matters is the standard of the Most High. So we have to do what, Deep?
Only acknowledge that iniquity.
We have to acknowledge our iniquity.
That thou hast transgressed against the Most High thy Yah, and have scattered thy ways to the strangers under every green tree.
He said, listen, you got to admit, you following the Gentiles. You're following Pharaoh. Right? Go ahead.
And ye have not obeyed my voice.
And ye have not obeyed my voice. You're listening to them. You're not listening to me. Verse 14.
Turn, O backsliding children,
right?
Save the Most High.
Right.
For I am married unto you.
I'm married to who?
Unto you.
Uh-huh.
And I will take you one of a city,
right?
And two of a family, and I will bring you to Zion.
I'm telling you right now, it ain't gonna be everybody ain't coming. So that's another thing you're gonna have to accept. Everybody ain't coming. And the Most High is aware of that. And we have to be aware of that. It's a tough pill to swallow, but everybody's not coming. And for those who decide to come, this is what he promised to do. Verse 15.
And I will give you pastors according to my
heart. And then I will give you pastors according to my heart.
Which shall feed you with the knowledge and understanding.
And will feed you with the knowledge and understanding. This is what the Most High promised he would do. But let me remind you, ladies and gentlemen, Pharaoh does not love you. Now, let's go into Hebrews, the 5th chapter. I need you to hold that and get Isaiah 28. We're getting back to the good part. I'm excited to give y'all this Jackson today, man. Y'all gonna like it, man. It's really good. I gotta speed this thing up though. Matter of fact, yeah, we got to do it. We got to do it. I think I'm gonna get them edges to read in their own time. We'll give him extra to read here on time. We're going to after we do this, we'll go straight to Josh. Okay. Let's go to Hebrews 5. I need you to hold that and get got it right there. Precept. Oh, I had said that to you last night. I didn't see you today. It's a precept. Hebrews 5. I went back over the lesson last night. Hebrews 5. And let's start there, verse 8.
Though we were a son, yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered.
Read that again, Deep.
Though he were a son,
though Hamashiach was a son,
yet learned he obedience by the things which he suffered.
You see that? Now Hamashiach, ladies and gentlemen, had to learn, had to suffer in order to become in the position that he needed to become. That's the same thing you have to realize as well. Obedience don't come without a price. You got to learn that what you were doing was wrong. Because for years we were doing these things in the church and we thought it was right. And we had to realize through the suffering that we went through, something ain't right. And this is how we learn to be obedient, right? No different. The servant is no different than the master. Whatever the master had to go through, we have to go through as well. All right? Verse 8, verse 9.
And being made perfect, he became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obeyed him.
Read that again.
And being made perfect.
And being made perfect.
He became the author of eternal salvation unto all them that obeyed him.
You see that? He's the author of salvation, but he's only the author of salvation for them who obey him. Not just because you walked down an aisle one day and said, I received Jesus Christ, my Lord and Savior. That ain't cutting it. Not just because you went in a baptism and got baptized. Nah. He's only the author of salvation for those who obey him. Go ahead.
Called of Yah and high priest after the order of Melchizedek, of whom we have many things to say and hard to be uttered, seeing you are dull of hearing.
Y'all see that? You see, there's a lot of things, ladies and gentlemen, that when it comes to Yeshua, that we need to break down. But people are so used to the white Jesus, you don't know the difference between the two. They are not the same guy in no way, shape, form, or fashion. So let me say this, and I know Better Day knows better this, but I want to put this out for those who watch via social media. Go to Matthew 5. It's like John 5th chapter. If your understanding of who Hamashiach is, who the world knows to be Christ, is based on Paul, you're off. You're off. And let me show you this. What I'm saying is truth. John the 5th chapter, verse 46. Watch this.
For had you believed Moses,
you
would believe me.
You would believe me. So the reason why, ladies and gentlemen, that this Hamashiach that we're presenting to our people, they seem strange. They never met the man. They only know the Jesus of Christianity. They don't know Yeshua Hamashiach. They don't know him. So when you come and say, man, yo, Yeshua said you got to keep this law. The man say, not my Jesus. Yeshua said you got to keep the holy days. Not my Jesus. Thing you got to realize is your Jesus ain't the Most High's. That's a tough pill to swallow. But we got to realize it. Read that again. John 5:46 says what?
For had you believed Moses, you would believe me. For he wrote of me.
Because he wrote of me. So if you're following a religion and telling you, don't worry about the Old Testament, just follow Paul. That's why you don't believe that there's some Hamashiach, because you don't know him. You ain't never heard of him. And what people don't realize is a lot of the things that Paul is saying in his letters, he's quoting the Old Testament. People just don't know it because they don't know the Old Testament. And we gotta have to break this lesson down soon. We're gonna have to do this lesson. And got to show people that there's no such thing as no Old and New Testament. There's no such thing. There's an old covenant and there's a new covenant. This Bible ain't split into two. It's one Bible. Okay. The word of Yah is Genesis all the way to Malachi, including this Apocrypha, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, and the book of Revelations? Acts to 3rd John are epistles. These are letters. The word of God is the thing that our people ain't even reading. You're reading a letter. They're just like me and Dick talk throughout the week. You never came and introduced yourself to him, right? You never had a conversation with him. But I left my phone open and you saw text messages. You'd be like, yeah, I know him. Do you know him? Based on our conversations? Because we're not talking, in depth like I'm talking to you right now. I got cold words that I'm saying to him that he only understands. If I say to him and he asks me to do something, I say, hey, yo, man, snuggles, right? He automatically know what that means, right? You read that, snuggles. You have no idea what that means. You're like, yo, man, I was going back and forth, man, with such and such. And I say, yo, man, 747. He knows exactly what that means. You just think, he sold him 747. I guess give him $747. You see what I'm saying? These are letters. But the actual words that are describing them, you don't even know what it is. Oh, this dude's not gonna. All right, verse 47. Watch this.
But if ye believe not his writings,
But if you believe not Moses' writings,
how should you believe my word?
how can you believe him? So this. If y'all wonder why I'm stopping, I just see my nephew flip over his head in here. It just popped up like nothing happened. So that was the pause. Read that again, John 5:47. Good God Almighty. If I did that, I'm telling you, Shabbat is over. Okay? Shabbat is over. If that happened to me, y'all might always just go home, pray for me, lay your hands on me, and we'll see you next week. Be y'all's will. John 5:47.
But if you believe not his writings,
But if you don't believe Moses' writings, if you don't think that this is valid, go ahead.
how should you believe my word?
Hamashiach said, you can't believe my words if you don't believe this law. That's the exact opposite of what they're telling you in Christianity. Now, let's go back to Hebrews 5. And read that verse 11 again.
Of whom we have many things to say, and hard to be uttered.
But it's hard to be uttered,
seeing you are dull of hearing.
Because you're dull of hearing. And why are you dull of hearing? Go ahead.
For the time ye ought to be teachers, ye have need that one teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yah.
Y'all see that? Listen. I'm trying to find the nicest way to say this. But this is what the majority of Israel has to do. You need to be re-taught. A lot of you are trying to build this truth on the foundation of Christianity, and it's not going to work. It's not going to work, because if the foundation is messed up, the building will fall. Now, I'm not saying totally disregard everything we learned in church, because that's not accurate. But I'm telling you right now, you just can't come in and say fresh out of there, find you Israel, and just start building. There's a lot of unlearning and relearning that's going to have to take place. If you still got Pharaoh's words mixed in there, this is how you can be tricked into believing that Romans 13 telling you that you're supposed to be submitted to the American government. And they'll tell you that the president is a minister of God. I see them say that, like you got to be submitted. You got to pray for your leaders. What? They don't even know that when Romans 13 was written, Paul was talking about Nero. You think he was telling you to pray for Nero? The guy that was sending the guys there to execute the Israelites? And you telling he was telling the church, hey, yo, make sure y'all pray for Nero every night. pray for your leaders. That was talking about the ministry, the government of the church, the elders. Not the devil that the Bible speaks of. And then they're trying to come to you and listen. Well, God used some evil kings in Israel. So hey, what can you say that? Listen, man. Before there was America ever existed, Revelation had already declared that it will be born and die. It's over. But the majority of our people still want to say, hey, man, we just keep doing these things right here. Everything's going to turn around. No, it's been heading down from inception. This country was not built by Bible believers. It was built by witches and warlocks. And it's just the truth. It might have been built one nation over God, but it was not of the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. That's just the bottom line. Until our people accept that, you're still going to be in a state of confusion. Pharaoh does not love you. Watch this. Verse 13. Yeah, finish the rest of that. Yeah.
Teach you again, which be the first principles of the oracles of Yah.
Right.
And are become such as have need of milk.
We have need of milk.
And not strong meat.
And not strong meat. You're still sucking a bottle. I don't care how old you are. I don't care what your position is in the church. Some of the people still sucking a bottle. Some of them can't even hold a bottle yet. Some of them still need their bottle held for them. Breath smelling like Similac. Not even getting breast milk. Similac. That's terrible. It would be good if it was breast milk. You're drinking chemicals. Watch this. Verse 13.
For everyone that useth milk is unskillful.
Because everyone that uses milk is unskillful. Go ahead.
In the word of righteousness, for he is a babe.
You cannot be walking in the ways of righteousness if you're still a babe. You're still drinking milk. Watch this.
14.
Mm-hmm.
But strong meat belongeth to them that are of full age, even those who by reason of use have their senses exercised. To discern both good and evil.
Y'all see that? This is the reason why the majority of our people are still making excuse for the evil and wickedness of this country. Because they don't have the ability to discern what good and evil is. And I'm going to say this. It is what it is. So y'all heard about the Supreme Court justice that passed yesterday, right? What's her name? Ruth Bader Ginsburg, or whatever the case is. Ginsburg. So, yeah, straight up. So already you're having them champion her. I heard last night was a quote somebody said that this woman was the moral character of the Supreme Court. Yet, she championed abortion and homosexual rights. You see what I'm talking about? This is the country that we're in. When somebody stands for the things opposite of the Most High, but you call this person a champion of moral character. And they're telling people that, like, this is a woman that we all young ladies should aspire to be. You see what I'm talking about? Now, I don't want to speak bad on someone, but I'm just trying to get you to understand that when you don't understand the difference between what the Most High said and what Pharaoh is teaching, you're going to be standing in the midst of that, like, yeah, hey, she's a good person. Why would you say something bad? But when the eyes of the Most High, you either righteous or you wicked. There ain't no middle ground. There's no righteousness without Hamashiach keeping law. If you're not doing those things submitted to him, according to the Most High, you're wicked. Period. Not Leviticus rules, his rules. His level of standard. Don't shoot the message. Right? Isaiah 28, verse 9. Took a lot longer than this than I wanted to, but this thing got to be understood. You got to understand this. You got to break that. You got to champion that ground up before we get into Jasher. Because I promise you, when we get to Jasher, what y'all going to see is everything that they were doing to us in Egypt, what they're doing to us now, they did to us then. You're going to see all the policies mirroring. And that way you're going to be able to know how to deal with it. Isaiah 28, verse 9.
Whom shall he teach knowledge?
So the Bible is asking us here, who would the Most High teach knowledge? Go ahead.
Whom shall he make to understand doctrine?
And who will be able to understand his doctrine? Go ahead.
Them that are weaned from the milk.
Y'all see that? Now notice Paul said in Hebrews 5 that people are still on this milk. But the Most High is saying over in Isaiah, you can't learn my way if you're still drinking milk. You got to be what?
Them that are weaned from the milk.
You got to be weaned from the milk.
And drawn from the breast.
And you can't be no more on the breast. That's the only way, he said, that's the only way you're going to be able to understand it. You can't stay with the ABCs of the Bible. You got to move past that in order to understand the Most High. And until we do that, this is what's going to happen. Go over one chapter and go to verse 13.
Wherefore the Most High saith, for as much as these people draw near me with their mouth.
Because they're still on the milk. Because they're following the religion of the Gentiles. They come near the Most High with their mouth.
And with their lips do honor me. But they have removed their hearts far from me.
No, they did what?
But have removed their heart far from me.
They removed their hearts far from him. Go ahead.
And their fear toward me.
And their fear towards me
is taught by the precept of me.
Are y'all seeing that? So now, because you're not following his doctrine, your fear towards him or your respect towards him is not based on the Bible. It's based on, the commandments of men. Because, ladies and gentlemen, Christianity is not of the Bible. That's commandments of men. The Baptist doctrine is the commandments of men. The AM Zion, Catholicism, Presbyterian, Methodist, whatever you want to call it. All of these things are the commandments of men. Grandma, Aunt Susie's way is the commandments of men. Your pastor, the commandments of men. So if you're basing on how you're supposed to respect someone based on what someone else said versus what he said, that's a problem. What's the lady? What's your name? What's your name? The one in the back, far back right there. Just put the coat on. Destiny. Nice to meet you, Destiny. Okay, so imagine a young man saw you in Food Line, right? Right? And this young man found you attractive. He wanted to get to know you, right? Now, instead of him coming to talk to you directly, he hears someone say your name and he goes to social media and look you up on Facebook, which is the common practice of the day. I don't know how people decide to do that, but that's what they do, right? So they normally go through social media, find your name, find a friend of yours or a family member that's on your post, add them, and then start talking to them about you. How would you feel about that? It'd be weird, right? That's basically what the Most High is saying. If you're basing your relationship with me on what somebody else said versus what I said, you're weird. Because I'm going to tell you directly what I want. He's going to know what you want. If he comes to talk to you directly, he will know what you want. He will know what you like. He will understand your personality. He will get a feeling of the things you're not willing to accept, all of these things. It was no need for him to go to a Facebook friend of yours when he could come directly to you. And this is what the Most High is telling us. Stop going to Pharaoh. Come to me. Go over to chapter 30 and let me show you why our people are going to Pharaoh, why our people are wanting to rely on Pharaoh and not him. Watch this. Isaiah 30, verse 1.
Woe to the rebellious children,
Woe to the rebellious children,
said the Most High,
said the Most High,
that take counsel, but not of me.
they take counsel, but not of me. I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to look up a Facebook friend, and I'm going to say, yo, man, tell me about who Destiny is, man. Put me on, fam. And you know 9 times out of 10 why people don't want to approach you directly? Because they know you will never accept them. This is what social media has created. It's giving people an ability to learn things about you so they can have a conversation piece when they come to you. So if you've been on there posting about, man, I tell you, ain't no good man out here. Lord, I tell you, I just wish I had a date. Man, I just wish somebody would just do something nice to me. Okay. Hey, that's what they do. But let me show you why we're doing that same thing when it comes to the Most High. Go ahead.
They take counsel, but not of
me. They take counsel, but not of me. So they go and listen to these other people telling them about what morality and righteousness look like. Go ahead.
And that cover with the covering.
They go for a covering,
but not of my spirit.
But not of my spirit. Why?
That they may add sin to sin.
That they may add sin to sin. Why do you think these people do these gay pride parades? They need a group of people to come and tell them, hey, this life is okay. It's fine. Because they know what their soul, their spirit is telling them. I'm wrong. But you get a whole bunch of people together, we're okay. This is right. My dad pointed this out the other day. He said, if you notice on the commercials and on these shows, how they show you like these guys are the happiest people ever. These guys are so happy. Well, you're not. You see what I'm saying? They make it seem like the guys that are single and having all these one-night stands are the greatest people on earth. They living the best life, but the married couples are horribly miserable. This is on purpose. Pharaoh's doing this on purpose. So we're doing this with the Most High. Why? Read that last part again, D.
That they may add sin to sin.
Because I know if I go to him, in order for me to get what I need from him, he's going to require for me to change. I don't want to change, but Pharaoh going to say, hey, man, listen, I'll accept you any way you're going to be. Verse 2.
That walk to go down into Egypt.
That walk to go down into Egypt.
And have not asked in my mouth.
And have not asked in my mouth. I never told you to go march on Washington, D.C. I never told you to do a hashtag. I was like, once again, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm just listen, just hear me out. Sitting there last night, watching the news with my dad. And I seen that they talking about that the people are forming a protest in Charlotte for Jacob Blake. Now, for those who don't know who Jacob Blake was that guy that got shot in Minnesota, Wisconsin, right? 7 times. Now, what difference is it going to make if I go downtown Charlotte and scream at some police in Charlotte, North Carolina, about an incident that happened in Wisconsin? But you can't tell our people that. But when that little kid, that 5-year-old kid that got shot on Betty's Ford the other day, where were they at then? Did you protest that? Did you make a march for that? That little kid in your neighborhood killed. You said nothing. You did nothing. You didn't go down to the people because you know when somebody get killed in our hood, we all know who do it. Did you go to the house and demand justice? Why is it that we demand justice from everybody else but our own selves? When they had the protest back a couple of months ago, when they shot it up, they still have not found the people for that. You didn't protest that. You didn't march for that. But you're going to go protest for something that happened a couple of months ago in Wisconsin. But if you say that to people, they're like, man, you're being insensitive. You don't care. No, I'm trying to get you to think. Because if all these people that are marching and doing this, if they got together and pray, if they got together and change, they say, look, we're going to do what the Most High say. What would happen then? Read that again, verse 2. It says what?
That walked to go down into Egypt.
They walked to go down to Egypt.
And have not asked in my mouth.
And have not asked in my mouth.
To strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh.
So they can strengthen themselves in the strength of Pharaoh. I want his money. I want his protection. I want him to give me laws, make me feel good. Go ahead.
Strength of Pharaoh, and to trust in the shadow of Egypt.
And to trust in the shadow of Egypt. I'm going to put my trust in the Most, and not in the Most High, but I'm going to put my trust in America. How is that working out for us? So what's going to happen as a result? Verse 3.
Therefore shall the strength of Pharaoh be your shame.
You see that? The strength of Pharaoh shall be our shame. That's why those get kicked. That's why drugs is flooding the community. Who put the drugs there? Wasn't it Pharaoh? Who put the abortion clinics there? Wasn't it Pharaoh? Who put the guns there? Wasn't it Pharaoh? I seen a video of a Ku Klux Klan member the other day, said that they used to get together every weekend, get crack, guns, and bullets, put it in a truck and take it to Chicago and leave it there. Instead, they come back home and watch the news Monday morning and see all the death of the people that killed themselves in Chicago. The strength of Pharaoh is our own shame. We're not putting two and two together. The same people that we're trusting in is the one that's killing us, destroying us. And you best believe, when that vaccine drops, the majority of our people are going to be down there right there, armed out. But if you tell them to come to the Shabbat, oh man, that don't matter, man. You tell them to keep these laws, nah, that don't matter. This matters. Then put on a mask, that matters. I'm more scared of a virus than I am the Most High. This is why people at. Read the rest of that.
And the trust in the shadow of Egypt, your confusion.
And now, because we're trusting in the shadow of Egypt, this is going to be our confusion. That's that same confusion that Daniel was talking about over Daniel 9. Because you trust in him, you're going to leave you in a state of confusion. Because the more die, people are still saying, why is this happening to us? Why? It ain't clicking. Pharaoh does not love us, ladies and gentlemen. Now, let's get to it. Let's go into put those verses in there. We want y'all, ladies and gentlemen, because we took too long in that foundation. I'm gonna give you guys. We're gonna put it in the chat. You know, also while I'm thinking about it, that tonight at sundown begins the Feast of Tabernacle. We know our people are new and they're not used to doing the feast. And, you know, Feast of Tabernacles, we're supposed to go outside, tent, you know, camp out in these things right here for a week. We know our people are new, these things that they're just learning. So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to do it. We did a teaching on that. We're going to put that out. We'll put that in the group chat either tonight or tomorrow. But we want you to take these verses right here that we're going to put in there and want you to be meditating and studying on this throughout the week, along with the tabernacle verse. We'll talk about that offline when we get done. All right. So let's go into Joshua. Let's go into the book of Joshua. All All right, we're gonna start at what we got to start at?
chapter 63.
We're gonna start in chapter 63. Now, a lot of this, I'm gonna have to paraphrase. I would suggest, ladies and gentlemen, that you go and read these things in your own time. I'm telling you, this is amazing. I read about 4 or 5 hours straight the other day. Couldn't stop. I couldn't put it down. It's real learning, bro. Yeah, man, you learning, man. You're doing a good job today, man. Yeah, man. Your captivity is almost over, man. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. It's a real talk. All right, so everybody there? Chapter 63. All right, let's start at chapter 63. We're going to start there at verse 1.
And in the 93rd year died Levi, the son of Jacob, in Egypt. And Levi was 137 years old when he died. And they put him in a coffin, and he was given into the hands of his children.
Hold on. That was something else I wanted to bring out. I meant to put on. One second, y'all. Okay, so let's go back to chapter 58. I need to show y'all this first. Now, there's a misconception based on the movie, the Ten Commandments, that the children of Israel was in Egypt for 400 years. First of all, that's a lie. We was only in Israel, Salakia, in Egypt for 215 years. Okay? It's 400 years from the time that Abraham was promised to inherit the land until Jacob, to the children of Israel came out and received the law. That's 400 years. We were not in Egypt for 400 years. So when you hear people talk about the 400-year prophecy, they got that from Cecil the Mill, Amalek. Got to be crafty counsel, man. Crafty counsel. Another lesson for another time. Right? So during that 215 years, we were not in bondage. I'm going to show you that as well. Because it's vital that you see that. It's because when we got the slave plantations here, ladies and gentlemen, for a good while, things was okay for us. I need y'all to see that. That it don't get real until we get real. So I need y'all to see that. So let's start back at Isaiah 58 right quick. Let's start at verse 1. I need y'all to see something. Jasher 58 and start verse 1.
And it came to pass in the 32nd year of the Israelites going down to Egypt, that is the 71st year of the life of Joseph. In that year died Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and Magron, his son, reigned in his stead.
Now, so if you see this, we were already there for 32 years, and Joseph is ruling. So I wanted to make sure you saw that. That now he died, the Pharaoh died, and his son come up. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh commanded Joseph before his death to be a father to his son, Magron, and that Magron should be under the care of Joseph and under his counsel.
Right.
And all Egypt consented to this thing, that Joseph should be king over them. And all the Egyptians loved Joseph as of heretofore. Only Magron, the son of Pharaoh, sat upon his father's throne, and he became king in those days in his father's stead.
So y'all seeing this? This is 32 years in that was down there. and Joseph is ruling. Now go over to verse 13. Same chapter, verse 13.
And also all his brethren, the sons of Jacob, dwelt securely in the land all the days of Joseph. And they were fruitful and multiplied exceedingly in the land.
Right.
And they served the Most High all their days, as their father Jacob commanded them.
Are y'all seeing that? That's not what they talk about in the movie, is it? They sit out here home. Joseph is on the throne. They fruitful, they multiplying. Life is pretty sweet for them. This is 32 years in. Right? Go ahead.
And it came to pass at the end of many days and years, when the children of Esau were dwelling quietly in their land with Bela their king, that the children of Esau were fruitful and multiplied in the land. And they resolved to go and fight with the sons of Jacob and all Egypt, and to deliver their brother Zepho, the son of Eliphaz, and his men, for they were yet in those days slaves to Joseph.
Y'all seen that? See, they ain't gonna tell you that the so-called white man was serving us as slaves in Egypt. they conveniently leave that part out. So I wanted to show you that. Okay, so that you see that the way they spend things and the way things really is two totally different things. All right. Now, as you go through chapter 59 and chapter 60, 61, what you're gonna find out is that now the 12 patriarchs begin to die off. Okay. And this is when things begin to change. Now let's go back to chapter 63 and let's start at verse 1.
And in the 93rd year, died Levi, the son of Jacob, in Egypt.
Now notice, this is 93 years in. Life still sweet. 93 years in Egypt. Watch this, go ahead.
And Levi was 137 years old when he died. And they put him into a coffin, and he was given into the hands of his children. And it came to pass after the death of Levi, when all Egypt saw that the sons of Jacob, the brother of Joseph, were dead, all the Egyptians began to afflict the children of Jacob, and to embitter their lives from that day until the day of their going forth from Egypt. And they took from their hands all the vineyards.
Now they took their vineyards
and fields which Joseph had given unto them.
Right.
And all the elegant houses in which the people of Israel lived, and all the fat of Egypt, the Egyptians took all from the sons of Jacob in those days.
You see that? So this is 93 years in. Once the last of the fathers died, now they begin to take stuff. You're going to find out in a minute why they waited until the fathers died. Notice, ladies and gentlemen, that you're seeing the same thing going on in America. When our ancestors first got off the plantations, you didn't see no major takedown of us going on, did you? Because those men there was real, and they knew who they were. It wasn't until the generation had became Americanized that you start seeing the lynching and the takedown. Okay? You got to water them down. Now, look at the men today. Go to Atlanta. You will see a guy down there 6'9", 270 with a dress on. You understand? This is what we're dealing with. Too showing mad love. All right. So as soon as the men died, this is when everything started changing, right? What verse we at, D? Verse 3.
And the hand of all Egypt became more grievous in those days against the children of Israel. And the Egyptians injured the Israelites until the children of Israel were wearied of their lives on the account of the Egyptians.
Right.
And it came to pass in those days, in the 102nd year of Israel going down into Egypt.
So now we're in the 102nd year. Levi died in the 98th year. So this pretty much been a 4-year process. What that sound like to you? That sound like a presidential term right there. 4 years later, watch what happened.
Going down into Egypt, that Pharaoh, king of Egypt, died, and Melo, his son, reigned in his stead. And all the mighty men of Egypt and all the generations which knew Joseph and his brethren died in those days.
See that? So now the Egyptians that was loyal to Israel and honored Israel, those guys have died. They have died off now. So now they have no protection. But notice this. I need y'all to see this. Watch this.
And another generation rose up in their stead,
Right.
which had not known the sons of Jacob, and all the good which they had done to them, and all their might in Egypt.
Right.
Therefore, all Egypt began from that day forth to embitter the lives of the sons of Jacob,
Right.
and to afflict them with all manner of hard labor, because they had not known their ancestors who had delivered them in the days of the famine.
So they didn't know all of the stuff that they did for them. So now, listen, man, you're a problem with me. But look at what verse 7 says.
And this was also from the Most High.
This was from who?
And this was also from the Most High.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand that the Most High does never want his children comfortable in captivity. He allows you to have this good time, sweet, get an education and all that. But the reason things are changing is because he's ready for a change. So the people in the Christian church are saying, oh man, it's the devil. And then the people saying it's the bad guy over here and the bad guy over there. The boogeyman over here and this boogeyman over here. Oh, it's the president. Oh no, we got to get a new person in. But what happened?
And this was also from the Most High.
And this was from the Most High. Why?
For the children of Israel, to benefit them in their latter days.
To benefit them in the latter days. Because if you sit there comfortable, you're not going to want better. You see this? Go ahead.
In order that all the children of Israel might know the Most High their Yah.
You see that? So the Most High is allowing this turmoil in this country so that you stop looking at Pharaoh and look to him. The church is being shut down and the Christian church shut down. It's on purpose. He knows his children following the religion of Christianity was not following him. So I'm going to do what? This is what I'm going to do. I'm going to shut it down. You can't go there. Now you only have a choice. Either call on me or keep going to the parking lot. Call on me or just keep going to Zoom. Make a change or stay the same. And you're seeing now this awakening just been happening. It's just like it's just been multiplying because people are starting to realize what direction I was going, I'm going in the wrong direction. It's time for me to change. Watch this, verse 8.
And in order to know the signs and mighty wonders which the Most High would do in Egypt on account of his people Israel, in order that the children of Israel might fear the Most High their Yah of their ancestors, and walk in all his ways, they and their seed after them all their days.
He said, listen, if I keep letting you eat off of Pharaoh, you're going to think Pharaoh is the one who's feeding you. If I keep letting the checks come, if I keep letting the air conditioner flow, you're going to think it's Pharaoh doing this. I need to show you that I'm your provider. Y'all seeing this? Now, second time, let's go over to 64. Okay? Let's go to chapter 64, and let's get 7 and 8 there.
At that time when Zepho had returned from the war, and when Zepho had seen how he prevailed over all the people of Africa, and had smitten them in battle at the edge of the sword, then Zepho advised with the children of Chittim to go to Egypt to fight with the sons of Jacob and with Pharaoh, king of Egypt.
Why you want to do that?
But Zepho heard that the mighty men of Egypt were dead.
You see that? So now Zepho found out, oh man, Judah, Naphtali, Levi, them boys dead. I got a chance now. Now, let me explain this. So when you go back and read in your own time, what happened was when Jacob died, these are chapters before, when Jacob died, and his sons went to bury him back home, back in their land, these dudes Esau and his grandsons tried to flex on them boys. They got done dirty out there. Therefore, and a lot of other men, which is grandson of Esau, got brought into slavery into Egypt. When Joseph died, Zepho escaped. Zepho got paired up with some other Africans, some other Hamites, got on team with them, went into Chittim, which is modern day Greece. This is how you saw the Grecians. This is why the Grecians and the Romans are the same guys. Another lesson for another time. But, so once he found out that the 12 sons was dead, he wanted to get revenge now. So now he wants to come back and fight. Go ahead.
That the mighty men of Egypt were dead, and that Joseph and his brethren, the sons of Jacob, were dead, and that all the children of Israel remained in Egypt.
Mm-hmm. Now, hold up. Yeah, let me pull this up. So you'll have to keep coming out there. 17. Okay, now let's go down to verse 17. Let's show what happened.
And the camp was very heavy, extending in length a distance of 3 days' journey, and people numerous as the sand upon the sea, shore which could not be counted.
So Zepho came with his mighty army, with other Africans, children of the East, what we know as India, people in India today, all these people, to take out the children of Israel. But he had to fight Egypt too because they're there. So that's where he come with his great number, verse 18.
And all these kings and their hosts went down and came against all Egypt in battle and encamped together in the valley of Pathros.
Mm-hmm. Also, Ishmael was there as well. So you're always going to notice, ladies and gentlemen, that every time you see Esau, you're going to see Ishmael. Ishmael is the so-called Arabs. Let me give you this point. Esau is where you get Christianity. Ishmael is where you get Islam. Go into Psalms 83. Look at the top 3 guys that was against the children of Israel. Edom, Ishmael. When you go into Deuteronomy chapter 28, verse 64, when it says that you will go among the Gentiles and you will serve other gods that you and your fathers did not know, even wood and stone. The wood is the cross of Christianity. The stone is the Kabbalah stone of Islam. So from then till this day, Islam, Christianity, is set to destroy our people. There's nothing new under the sun. That's why I started there to show y'all there's nothing new under the sun. The same guys that are trying to destroy us now, then, are the same ones that's trying to destroy us now. Everybody talk about what the so-called white man had done to us in this country through slavery. They have no idea what the Muslims and the Arabs did to us when we were still in Africa. What they're doing now in Africa. You understand? Now, where we at, D? Verse 19.
And all Egypt heard their report, and they also gathered themselves together, all the people of the land of Egypt and all the cities belonging to Egypt, about 300,000 men.
Mm-hmm. So Egypt came up with 300,000 men. Now you notice that there was 3 days journey of people there. I think it was around 400,000 or 500,000 people that came against them. Egypt got 300,000 themselves. I just need y'all to pick these big, large numbers until you see this. Go ahead.
And the men of Egypt sent also the children of Israel who were in those days in the land of Goshen to come to them in order to go and fight with these kings.
So now, Egypt, now you don't dist us, you don't put us on Goshen, but now you want to reach out to us and say, hey man, they come fight with us. Look how many people did they send.
And the men of Israel assembled and were about 150 men.
150 guys. That's how real we is. They got 300,000 Egyptians, hundreds of thousands of Esau and the Africans. But Israel said, I sent 150. Now that may come across as, man, that's messed up. They didn't want to fight fair. They didn't want to contribute. Hold on, keep going.
And they went into battle to assist the Egyptians.
Uh-huh.
And the men of Israel and of Egypt went forth about 300,000 men and 150 men. And they went towards these kings to battle. And they placed themselves from without the land of Goshen, opposite of Pathros.
Mm-hmm.
And the Egyptians believed not in Israel to go with them in their camps together for battle.
Right.
But all the Egyptians said, perhaps the children of Israel will deliver us into the hand of the children of Esau and Ishmael, for they are their brothers.
So here they go. Nobody trusts us. You got to find a reason to be against us. Well, man, Esau and Ishmael, here's their brothers. They might end up siding with them, so they say they won't want to fight. Verse 24.
And all the Egyptians said unto the children of Israel, remain ye here together in your stand, and we will go and fight against the children of Esau and Ishmael. And if these kings shall prevail over us, then come you all together upon them and assist us. And the children of Israel did so.
Now, so they told them, like, y'all just stand here. We start losing, we come. Now, go down to verse 31. Watch this.
And all the Egyptians fought with these kings opposite Pathros and Tepuchus, and the battle was severe against the Egyptians.
So now they're fighting this battle. The Egyptians getting wiped out. Go ahead.
And the kings were stronger than the Egyptians in that battle. And about 180 men of Egypt fell on that day, and about 30 men of the forces of kings. And all the men of Egypt fled from before the kings. So the children of Esau and Ishmael pursued the Egyptians, continuing to smite them unto the place where was the camp of the children of Israel.
So they done got ran up out of there. Now then they came back to what the Israelites said. Watch this.
And all the Egyptians cried unto the children of Israel, saying, hasten to us and assist us and save us from the hand of Esau, Ishmael, and the children of Jacob.
Now you got 300,000 men. And you run into 150. Save us. What is that telling you how real we is? You got 300,000 men. And we got 150. He's like, save us. Save us. Watch this.
34.
Verse 35? 34?
And the 150 men of the children of Israel ran from their stations to the camps of these kings. And the children of Israel cried unto the Most High their Yah.
They did what? No, they did what?
Cried unto the Most High their Yah to deliver.
You see that? Before they went to the battle, they knew who they had to call to. See, the Egyptians didn't call on the Most High. They just ran out there, wiped out. Oh, wiped out. Israel said, you know what? We it's 150 of us. Let me call to the Most High. Get him with us. Go ahead.
And the Most High hearkened to Israel.
And he did what?
And the Most High hearkened to Israel. And the Most High gave all the men of the kings into their hand.
Y'all see that? 150 men. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel fought against these kings and against the and the children of Israel smote about 4,000 of the kings.
Y'all see that? 150. They took out 4,000 men. Now do you realize why they look at black men the way they do? Watch this. Go ahead.
And the Most High threw a great consternation in the camp of the kings, so that the fear of the children of Israel fell upon them. And all the hosts of the kings fled from before the children of Israel, and the children of Israel pursued them, continued to smite them until the borders of the land.
They ran them all the way back to Ethiopia. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel slew of them in the road yet 2,000 men, and of the children of Israel not one fell.
Not one. There's 6,000 now. We ain't lost a man. Watch this. Go ahead.
And when the Egyptians saw that the children of Israel had fought with such few men with the kings, and that the battle was so severe against them, all the Egyptians were greatly afraid of their lives.
Now they're greatly afraid of their own lives now. We got these people with us. Go ahead.
On the account of the strong battle, and all Egypt fled, every man hid himself from the arrayed forces, and they hid themselves in the road, and they left the Israelites.
You got 300,000 men. you ran and hid, and you left 150 to fight all these hundreds of thousands. Shabbat shalom, our good seeing you on with us today. Watch this. Go ahead.
And the children of Israel inflicted a terrible blow upon the king's men, and they returned from them after they had driven them to the border of the land of Cush.
Right.
And all Israel knew the thing which the men of Egypt had done to them, and they fled from them in battle, and had left them to fight alone.
So they realized, like, man, they do left us out here by ourselves. Go ahead.
So the children of Israel also acted with cunning as the children of Israel returned from battle. They found some of the Egyptians in the road and smote them there.
I got to take you out too, bro. Y'all left us out here by ourselves. So they started taking the Egyptians out. Go ahead.
And whilst they slew them, they said unto them these words, wherefore did you go from us and leave us, being a few people, to fight against these kings who had a great people to smite us, that you might thereby deliver your own soul?
Y'all left us out here, man. Why y'all leave us out here? So now you got to die too. Go ahead.
And some of which the Israelites met on the road, they, the children of Israel, spoke to each other, saying, smite, smite, for he is an Ishmaelite or an Edomite, or from the children of
So they start saying, yo, this is the enemy. Go ahead. Watch
They
this.
stood over him and slew him, and they knew that he was an Egyptian.
They knew he was an Egyptian. They said it. Yeah. Because you even Stevens now, B. Never trust thine enemy. Right? Go ahead.
And the children of Israel did these things cunningly against the Egyptians, because they had deserted them in battle and fled from them. And the children of Israel slew of the men of Egypt in the road in this manner about 200.
So they killed 200 of their men. Go ahead.
And all the men of Egypt saw the evil which the children of Israel had done to them. So all Egypt feared greatly the children of Israel. For they had seen their great power, that not one man of them had fallen. So all the children of Israel returned with joy on their road to Goshen, and the rest of Egypt returned, each man to his place.
Y'all see that? Now let's go to the next chapter, verse 1.
And it came to pass after these things that all the counselors of Pharaoh, king of Egypt, and all the elders of Egypt assembled and came before the king and bowed down to the ground as they sat before him. And the counselors and elders of Egypt spoke unto the king, saying, behold, the people of the children of Israel is greater and mightier than we are. And they know us all the evil which they did to us in the road when they returned from battle.
Right.
And thou hast also seen their strong power.
You see that strong power?
For this power is unto them from their fathers.
It's from where?
Their fathers. But a few men stood up against a people numerous as the sand, and smote them at the edge of the sword, and of themselves not one has fallen. So that if they had been numerous, they would have utterly destroyed.
Y'all see that? Now, let me give you a bit of history. You guys ever heard of what they call black ops? You ever heard of that? Well, what they call black ops today is not what it originally was why originally was called black ops. In World War II is where black ops was started. During that time, our people were not equal soldiers in the army. Most of our people were there with strictly labor workers, building roads, things of that nature. This is why our people never was acknowledged for some of the work they did. They was in Alaska building roads, overseas building roads. You didn't doing manual labor, slavery. They try to make it seem like, you know, the good old boys did all the battles. If you think I'm making this up, research it yourself. There was a speech that Hitler, a telegram that Hitler sent to Roosevelt, and said that if it was not for your secret mission of the blacks, of the Negro, you would not be able to win this war. The original black ops, ladies and gentlemen, was not sending the good old boys in, it was sending us in, into Germany, behind lines, taking them down with a few men. But they had to call it black ops because we were not even, in some cases, even allowed to have a gun. Because they feared us so much, they're like, you know, we give these guys a gun, they're turning on us. But they know how they was treating us. So they would send about 4 or 5 guys, drop them off into Germany, and these guys would go over there and take down like platoons. And Hitler told them and said, if it wasn't for these black ops, these secret missions that you're sending to the Negroes, you would never beat us. You will never see that written in history. So they'll make you think the good old boys won the war. When the truth of the matter was, it was Judah. This is a fact. You can research if you think I'm making it up. We are the original black ops. That's why you see that on Black Lightning. That same thing. It's the same thing. So look at what they said. Verse we're still in chapter 65, verse 5.
Now, therefore, give us counsel what to do with them until we gradually destroy them from among us, lest they become too numerous for us in the land.
Right.
For if the children of Israel should increase in the land, they will become an obstacle to us. And if any war should happen to take place, they with their great strength will join our enemy against us and fight against us, destroy us from the land, and go away from it.
This is the reason why abortion clinics are in our communities. This is the reason why. I'm going to show you it's the same policy. Go down deep to verse no, I gotta keep reading. Gotta keep reading so you can see this breakdown plan. You're gonna see this change of order in Egypt. You're gonna see the same practice of what they did here in America. Where we at? Verse 6?
7.
Verse 7.
So the king answered the elders of Egypt and said unto them, this is the plan devised against Israel, from which we will not depart.
This is what we're gonna do. Watch this.
Behold, in the land of Pithom and Ramses, cities unfortified against battle, it behooves you and us to build them and to fortify them. Now therefore go you also and act cunningly toward them, and proclaim a voice in Egypt and in Goshen at the command of the king, saying,
right?
All ye men of Egypt, Goshen, Pathros, and all their inhabitants, the king has commanded us to build Pithom and Ramses and to fortify them for battle.
Mm-hmm.
Who amongst you of all Egypt and the children of Israel and all the inhabitants of the cities are willing to build with us?
Mm-hmm.
Shall each have his wages given to him daily at the king's order. So go you first and do cunningly, and gather yourselves and come to Pithom and Ramses to build. And whilst you are building, cause a proclamation of this kind to be made throughout Egypt every day at the command of the king. And when some of the children of Israel shall come to build with you, you shall give them their wages daily for a few days. And after they shall have built with you for their daily hire, drag yourselves away from them daily, one by one in secret, and then you shall rise up and become their taskmasters and officers, and you shall leave them afterwards to build without wages, and should they refuse, then force them with all your might to build.
Now, let me give you an explanation of what this is. When our people left off of the plantations, we basically went back to living in the manner in which we were living prior to coming to this country. We were self-sufficient. We were all the great workers. We had all the talent and the skills. Guess what they decided to do? They tricked us into leaving our own thing and becoming sharecroppers. The ones that they couldn't teach them to be sharecroppers, they convinced them to move to the inner cities and to work into the mills, into the plants, into the inner cities. They went from being self-sufficient, having their own businesses, to trick them into coming in and to taking jobs working for them. Simultaneously, they opened up the borders and told all the immigrants to come over here, and they started giving all the immigrants land. Loans. Why they gave us jobs. Now, immediately, it's up. You getting a job, you getting a check. Like, oh, man, this is sweet. Oh, man, I can sharecrop. I don't got to buy the seeds. I don't got to buy nothing from you. You're going to give it to me all on loan. But they don't tell you was never going to come from up under there. Also, at the same time, they started passing all these laws in the book and started locking people up and making them slaves for life. What people don't know, ladies and gentlemen, is that when you read the breakdown of the 13th Amendment that abolished slavery, it says, unless a crime is committed. Then I can go ahead and enslave you right back again. Who's in the prisons? Same practice, y'all. I'm showing you, it's the same thing. Now, because we've been on for a while. Let's see. It's a lot more I gotta give you. Now, I gotta show you the part that Levi didn't go. Well, anyway, if you keep reading this chapter, you're gonna find that 11 of the tribes went, but Levi, the ones who had the closest relationship with the Most High, they didn't go. They were like, man, I ain't buying it, man. It's got to be something to this. So initially, Levi did not go. What does this mean for us? The ones who have the relationship with the Most High, we're seeing the tricks of Pharaoh. And we're not getting caught up in it. But the rest of our people who are not looking at everything through the eyes of the Most High, they're getting caught up over and over again. They're buying the lies of Pharaoh. It's not until you filter everything through the Most High or you're able to see what's real and what's a lie. Okay? Now, for the sake of time, let's go over to chapter 66 and look at verse 20. Chapter 66, verse 20.
Behold, we have feared war for a long time, and we said, when Israel becomes fruitful in the land, they will drive us from the land if a war should take place.
Mm-hmm.
If it please the king, let a royal decree go forth, and let it be written in the laws of Egypt, which shall not be revoked, that every male child born to the Israelites, his blood shall be spilled upon the ground.
Planned Parenthood. See that? Nothing new under the sun. We're going to kill the children. Right? Go ahead.
And by your doing this, when all the male children of Israel shall have died, the evil of their wars will cease. Let the king do so and send for all the Hebrew midwives and order them in this manner to execute it.
We're going to hire the Hebrew midwives to do the killing. The death care centers. What they call the health care, the death care. You come in, you got a little anxiety, you put that cord around your arm, oh man, your blood pressure up. Here goes some pills. You're on high blood pressure. Come in, you done ate some food and your sugar up a little bit. Oh, hey, you got diabetes. See what I'm talking about? Nothing new under the sun. These are the decrees from the leaders. Watch this. Go ahead.
So the thing pleased the king and the princes, and the king did according to the word of Job.
Right.
And the king sent for the Hebrew midwives to be called, of which the name one of was Sephra, and the name of the other Hua. And the midwives came before the king and stood in his presence, and the king said unto them, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women, and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall kill him. But if it be a daughter, then she shall live.
It ain't come to the microphone. It wasn't coming to the microphone.
Read it again.
Yeah, now go ahead.
But if you will not do this thing, then I will burn you and all of your houses with fire.
See that? So they started threatening the Hebrews. Meanwhile, I said, listen, if you don't kill these kids, we're going to kill you. So when you see how people turning their back on us, a lot of them have been threatened. It's taking their own lives, their livelihoods. If you don't vaccinate these kids, I'm telling you right now, you're not going to be able to work here. That's what they're going to tell the people. Why do you think they're sending people out in our communities now trying to convince us to take this vaccine? Same game. Long story short, our midwife said, we fear Yah, we're not doing it. But I just wanted you to see that part, that the regulations is not coming for what they're saying it's coming to destroy you. Planned Parenthood and the healthcare system is here to destroy you. And it's coming from the top. Right? I just want y'all to see that part. Now, let's go into chapter 67, and let's look at verse 1. Watch this.
There was a man in the land of Egypt of the seed of Levi, whose name was Aaron, the son of Kehath, the son of Levi, the son of Israel. And this man went and took a wife, namely Jechebed, the son of Levi, his father's sister, and she was 126 years old when he came unto her.
Now, you know she got to be fine when she's 126 years old. You say, I'm still going to marry. Them daughters of Zion, boy, I'm telling you, boy. I'm telling you, 126. Still winning. All right, go ahead.
And when the woman conceived and bare a daughter, and she called her name Miriam, because in those days the Egyptians had embittered the lives of the children of Israel.
I know y'all know who Miriam is, right? All right, go ahead.
And she conceived again and bare a son, and she called his name Aaron. For in the days of her conception, Pharaoh began to spill the blood of the male children of Israel.
Now, go down to verse 11.
And in the 130th year of Israel's going down into Egypt.
Now this is 130, go ahead.
Pharaoh dreamed that he was sitting upon his kingly throne and lifted up his eyes and saw an old man standing before him. And there were scales in the hands of the old man, and such scales as were used by merchants. And the old man took the scales and hung them before Pharaoh.
Right.
And the old man took all the elders of Egypt and all the nobles and great men, and he tied them together and put them in one scale. And he took a milk kid and put it on the other scale, and the kid preponderated over all.
Right.
And Pharaoh was astonished at this dreadful vision, why the kid should preponderate over all. And Pharaoh awoke, and behold, it was a dream. And Pharaoh rose up early in the morning and called all his servants and related to them the dream, and the men were greatly afraid.
Right.
And the king said to all his wise men, interpret, I pray you, the dream which I dreamed, that I may know it. And Balaam, the son of Beor, answered the king and said unto him, this means nothing else but a great evil that will spring up against Egypt in latter days.
He said, this dream that you had, this is talking about something that's going to come to destroy Egypt in the latter days. Watch this.
For a son will be born to Israel.
A son going to be born to who?
For a son will be born to Israel, who will destroy all Egypt and its inhabitants, and bring forth the Israelites from Egypt with a mighty hand.
Y'all seen this? You know, listen, bro. I'm just gonna go ahead and tell you. It's gonna be a son that's gonna be born amongst them. Hey, he's gonna take you down, bro. Getting ready to take you down, boy. Getting ready to take you down, boy. See that? Watch this, though. Go ahead.
Now, therefore, O king, take counsel upon this matter, that you may destroy the hope of the children of Israel, and their expectation before this evil arise against Egypt.
Right.
And the king said unto Balaam, and what shall we do unto Israel? Surely after a certain manner did we at first counsel against them, and could not prevail over them. Now, therefore, give you also advice against them, by which we may prevail over them.
Now, so, long story short, he goes get these two guys, bringing these wise men to determine what they need to do. Right? It's been prophesied that a son going to be born to the Israelites. It's going to bring them down. Okay? Now, why am I bringing this out? It's because Pharaoh is determined to destroy them. Yet the Most High is determined to deliver them. Notice all these bad things are happening, but the Most High is still working in the midst of all of it. Where's the deliverance coming from? Is it coming from Pharaoh? Is it coming from anybody connected to Pharaoh? It's always prophesied that the Israelites will deliver themselves through the Most High. Why am I saying this? It's because our people today are still looking to them, thinking that help is going to come from that way, but it's not. They're caught up in what's going on, but not understanding who was going to be the deliverer. Okay? Now, go down to verse 31. So what happened was, one of the guys came and said, listen, I wish I could go into it, man. It's so much deeper than I got time to break down. One of the guys went in there and said, listen, you better let these people go. He went over all the history of the Israelites. When Abraham was delivered, Isaac was delivered, when Jacob was delivered, bringing out what the sons did. You better let them go now. Why am I saying this? It's because, ladies and gentlemen, there will not be no deliverance from Pharaoh. Pharaoh has already been warned, but he's not going to be the one to do it. So the wise man in Egypt came and told him and broke it down. Listen, let these people go now. Pharaoh had an opportunity to let them go right then, but that was not the Most High's plan. The Most High plan, ladies and gentlemen, is that he received the glory, not a man. So if you're waiting on this great leader, this great pastor, or some great politician to come and be the deliverer, it's not going to happen. The Most High is going to receive the glory for our deliverance. Plain and simple, right? So they told him to do that. Pharaoh said, man, I ain't doing that. He was so mad at it that he cast the man out of there. Threw him out, okay? Said, we're not doing that. Next man came with an idea and said, listen, we're going to take the children and we're going to throw them in the river. That's what we're going to do. We're going to go back to the Planned Parenthood. We're going to kill the children. We couldn't convince them to do it. We're going to send the soldiers. We're going to make them kill their own children. Sound familiar? How they talked our women into going and aborting their own kids? Look at this. Go down to verse. I know, but I'm trying to move forward. Because if we read all that, it's going to be a long time. Go down to go down to verse 52. Go to verse 50. The guy said, listen, we're going to kill the kids. Just take them and throw them in the river. Look at what Pharaoh decided to do. Verse 50.
And the king heard the words of Balaam, and the thing pleased the king and the princes. And the king did according to the word of Balaam. And the king ordered a proclamation to be issued and a law to be made throughout the land of Egypt.
He made a what?
A proclamation to be issued and a law to be
made.
And
a law. Sound familiar? Well, we know the Gentile, the so-called white man, like cocaine. We took crack and put it in your neighborhood. We go on the books and we make crack. You get more time for crack. See that? It's the same thing. They use their laws to destroy us. Okay, go ahead.
And a law to be made throughout the land of Egypt, saying, every male child born to the Hebrews from this day forward shall be thrown into the water. And Pharaoh called unto all his servants, saying, go now and seek throughout the land of Goshen, where the children of Israel are, and see that every son born to the Hebrews shall be cast into the river, but every daughter you shall let live.
Now, notice, ladies and gentlemen, that when it comes to our children, the so-called black, so-called African-American children, that they hate the boys, but they always exhort the daughters. They exhort the girls. Girls going to college, boys going to prison. See that? Going to see something else going to happen in here. That's going to mirror what they're doing today. Verse 53.
And when the children of Israel heard this thing which Pharaoh had commanded to cast their male children into the river, some of the people separated from their wives.
Some of the people separated from their wives.
And others adhered to them.
Y'all see that? Guess what? We're going to give you housing, ladies. But this is the thing. You better not have a man in the house. Sound familiar? It's the same game. Now, you know what, man? I done been to prison. I ain't making enough money. So I'm going to just go ahead and leave. I'm going to go off and do my own thing. So, you know, my wife can have a house, you know what I'm saying, get an apartment with the kids. Because if I come and stay there, we ain't going to be able to afford it. Breaking up the houses because of the laws passed by Pharaoh. You seeing this thing? They're doing this on purpose. to break up the families. But watch this. Verse 54.
And from that day forward, when the time of delivery arrived to those women of Israel who had remained with their husbands, they went to the field to bring forth there, and they brought forth in the field and left their children upon the field and returned home. And the Lord who had
hold up. Now we got to stop here. Now, so now the women who stayed with their husbands, they say, you know what? We're just going to take them out there and leave them to die. Look in the communities. You ride around the communities, you see children out there taking care of themselves. It could be nighttime. You'll see young kids out. Mothers are not being mothers anymore because I want to be with the man. Y'all seeing this? I'm going to go lay up with the man, and the kids are raising themselves. The women made the decisions to do that. I'm going to keep home having the babies, but I just take them out there to the woods. They got to survive on their own. You see how it's the same thing? Same thing. Because of the laws that Pharaoh is passing, they ain't going to trust the Most High. I'm just going to keep doing me. But look at what the Most High did to intervene. Watch this. Verse 55.
And the Most High, who had sworn to their ancestors to multiply them, sent one of his ministering angels, which are in heaven, to wash each child in water.
So he said, listen, they're gonna try to kill him. They're gonna leave him on their own. I'm gonna send an angel to wash him in water. Go ahead.
To anoint and swathe it, and to put into his hands 2 smooth stones. From one of each is sucked milk, and from the other honey.
It gave him a rock. The Most High said, I'm not going to let my children die. A lot of them died. A lot of our kids are dying in these communities. But I'm going to spare some of them. I'm going to send a remnant. I'm going to minister to them. Though I'm going to make sure some of my kids survive. Look at what else he did.
And he caused his hair to grow to his knees, by which it covered itself, to comfort it and to cleave it through his compassion for it. And when the Most High had compassion over them and had desired to multiply them upon the face of the land, he ordered his earth to receive them to be preserved therein to the time of their growing up, after which the earth opened its mouth and vomited them forth. They sprouted forth from the city like the herb of the earth and the grass of the forest, and they returned each to his family and to his father's house, and they remained with them.
Are y'all seeing this? Are y'all seeing this? The Most High said, I don't care what they try to do, I will protect my own. Now, watch this. Keep going, D.
And all the babes of the children of Israel were upon the earth like the herb of the field through Yah's grace.
Through God's what?
Grace to them.
Uh-huh.
And when all the Egyptians saw this thing,
now when the Egyptians found out about it,
they went forth each to his field, and with his yoke of oxen and his plowshare, and they plowed it up as one plows the earth at seed time.
So they knew that the baby was in the ground. So they tried to destroy the ground to kill the babies. Watch this.
And when they plowed, they were unable to hurt the infants of the children of Israel. So the people increased and waxed exceedingly.
They can't do nothing. We can't be destroyed. They tried in the same ground. They went through there, cut it up, chopped it up. Baby's still coming up out of there. Walk home right to the house. You know what I'm saying? Just, hey, pop out about 2-3 years old, like Dolomite with tidy whities on. You know what I'm saying? This is the Yah we serve. Watch this. Go ahead.
And Pharaoh ordered his officers daily to go to Goshen to seek for the babes of the children of Israel. And when they had sought and found one, they took it from his mother's bosom by force and threw it into the river. But the female child they left with his mother. Thus did the Egyptians do to the Israelites all the days.
See that? So we lost some. We lost some. We lost a lot. And we're losing some. We're losing a lot. But look at this. Chapter 68, verse 1.
And when it was at the time the spirit of Yah was upon Miriam, the daughter of Amram, the sister of Aaron, she went forth and prophesied about the house, saying, Behold, a son will be born unto us from my father and mother this time, and he will save Israel from the hands of Egypt.
Y'all see that? So, ladies and gentlemen, when you see the story in Genesis about Miriam being something about she was jealous, no, Miriam been about this life. Is she getting a bad rep in the Christian church? Like, oh man, she hating on him and all this. No, she was prophesying the coming of Moses way before he got here. You see that? Look at this though.
And when Amram heard the words of his daughter,
and then when her father heard about it, look what he did.
He went and took his wife back to the house after he had driven her away at the time when Pharaoh ordered every male child of the house of Jacob to be thrown into the water.
Now, what is this symbolic to what's going on now? A lot of our men have destroyed their houses. They destroyed their families. But now that this truth is coming to them, that word of the Most High is coming to them, men are going back. They're getting their families. They're getting their wives. They're getting their children. Because no Democratic Party is not going to change them. No amount of education or money is going to change them. It's only the word of Yah. That's why you're seeing the so-called black man raise up in America now. You see that? That's right. That's what they're saying. Look, dude. Uh-oh. We're in trouble. Right? So he go back and get his wife. Go ahead.
So Amram took Jochebed, his wife, 3 years after he had driven her away, and he came to her, and she conceived. And at the end of 7 months from her conception, she brought forth a son. And the whole house was filled with great light, as the light of the sun and the moon at the same time of their shining.
Now, so Moses was born. Now, if you read the rest of chapter 69 on your own time, it got back to Pharaoh that Moses was born, that child that was in that dream was born. So the people tried to get him to kill him. But what happened was the Most High sent an angel to Pharaoh's palace. And he made him seem like he was just a wise Egyptian. And he counseled him, yo, man, don't kill that son. So he didn't. Even though Balaam was telling him, you better go kill him. This is the son that we're talking about. But the Most High sent the angel. He didn't kill Moses. Everybody knows the story. They put him in the river. Pharaoh's daughter finds him, take him into the house. This is the last thing I want to show y'all in here today. That the deliverance is not going to come from Pharaoh. It will always be through us. Okay? Go to chapter 69 and look at verse 51. This is going.
There's only 9 verses in 61. There's only 9 verses in 61.
I mean, Salakia, chapter 70. Go to chapter 70. Now, this is going to blow your minds. This was the part that I didn't tell you. I wanted you to see this real time. Watch what the Most High does here. Chapter 70, verse 51.
That's the last verse.
Shalaki, verse 41.
And the day arrived when Moses went to Goshen to see his brethren. And he saw the children of Israel in their burdens and hard labor, and Moses was grieved on their account.
Now, they're trying to tell you in Christianity and in these movies that Moses didn't even know he was an Israelite. They didn't see him or nothing. He never dealt with him or nothing. Moses was going back and forth to Goshen his entire life. Okay? Watch this.
And Moses returned to Egypt and came to the house of Pharaoh and came before the king, and Moses bowed down before the king. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, I pray thee, my Lord, I have come to seek a small request from thee.
He said, I come to seek a small request. What was that request, D?
Turn not away my face empty. And Pharaoh said to him, Speak. And Moses said unto Pharaoh, Let there be given unto thy servants, the children of Israel who are in Goshen, 1 day to rest therein.
He said to give him what?
1 day to rest therein from their labor. And the king answered Moses and said, Behold, I have lifted up thy face in this thing to grant thy request. And Pharaoh ordered a proclamation to be issued throughout Egypt and Goshen, saying,
Saying what?
To you, all the children of Israel, thus saith the king, For 6 days you shall do your work.
For what?
For 6 days you shall do your work and labor, but on the 7th day.
But on what day?
On the 7th day.
Not the first day of the week.
The 7th day.
But on the 7th day
you shall rest and perform not any work. Thus you shall do all the days as the king and Moses, as the king and Moses, son of Betha, have commanded.
Y'all see that? Y'all see that? And Kelly, Moses made him bring back the Sabbath in captivity. Hey, said we'll walk outside to see if you see that piece of it out there. Keep going, Dick.
And Moses rejoiced at this thing which the king had granted to him, and all the children of Israel did as Moses ordered them. But this thing was from the Most High.
Well, it came from who?
The Most High.
No, it came from Pharaoh.
The Most High to the children of Israel. For the Most High had begun to remember the children of Israel to save them for the sake of their father. And the Most High was with Moses, and his fame went throughout Egypt. And Moses became great in the eyes of all the Egyptians, and in the eyes of all the children of Israel, seeking good for his people Israel, and speaking words of peace regarding them to the king.
Y'all see that? The deliverance did not come from Pharaoh. It came from the Israelites. That's not all of it. Okay. Just sit it right there for right now. Y'all see that? Y'all see this. Pharaoh does not love you. But guess who does? The Most High. So let's end it off, D. Luke, first chapter. I told y'all. And I didn't even give you everything I wanted to. There's so much more, but just make sure y'all get this book of Joshua, man. Luke 1. It's the last verse for today. Here we go eat. Luke 1. Verse 68.
Blessed be the Most High Yah of Israel.
Blessed be who?
The Most High Yah of Israel, for he has visited and redeemed his people.
He visited and redeemed who?
His people.
Not the world.
His people. He has raised up a horn of salvation for us.
For who?
For us in the house of his servant David. As he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved.
That who shall be saved?
That we should be saved.
That the world gonna be saved.
That we should be saved from our enemies.
From our enemies.
And from the hand of all that hate us.
Y'all see this? So why when they tell me this for God so Lord the world, why they don't go to that? Why they ain't going to that? Read that again.
That we should be saved from our enemies.
That we should be saved from our enemies.
And from the hand of all that hate us.
For all that hate us. Pharaoh does not love you. Go ahead.
To perform the mercy promised to our fathers.
To perform the mercy that was promised to our fathers.
And to remember his holy covenant. The oath which he has sworn to our father Abraham. That he will grant unto us.
He will grant unto who?
Unto us.
To everybody.
Unto us. That we being delivered out of the hand of our enemies might serve him without fear. In the holiness, and righteousness
before him
all the days of our life.
All the days of our life. Hallelujah.
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 Hallelujah. Let's get the most out. Let's get the most out round of applause. Pharaoh does not love you. but the Most High does. So today, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to give all praise. We'd like to give all glory. We'd like to give all honor to Ahaya Bahashem Yeshaya and Precious Ruach for everything that took place here today. Does anybody have any questions? Good. So how many of y'all depending on stop by where show of hands? How many of y'all depending on Pharaoh? How many of y'all depending on the Most High? God. Yeah, Pharaoh can get these things. These skibbity paps. Pharaoh get these skibbity paps. Right? So we pray and hope, ladies and gentlemen, that something was said here today that was inspiring, that something was said here today that encouraged you, that something was said that would empower you to go forth in the things of the Most High. Whew. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go ahead in the broadcast, and then we got a few words we got to say to y'all before we eat. But as we tell our people on Facebook, YouTube, always get the people be steadfast, unmovable, always abounding to the work of the Most High. We want you to know that we love you, and we're here for you, and anything we can do to help you out, don't ever hesitate to hit us up. Barakatah, Shalom.
Yeah. We will give you the opportunity to repent and to get it right. Because Christ went so far. So that we can have life.
We do always think you got to give you a Shalom, Mr. Cameron.
Yeah.
Bring it out. And we don't eat no pork neither. What you got for us, man? That's the ancient Phoenician, man. I've been telling you, you can't bring the ancient Phoenician. You coming off as a barbarian to the people, man.
Hey.
They need to learn it, right? The judge knows. Oh, yeah. Top 4. Top 3. And we don't eat no pork neither. Because I'm a law keeper. As we always say, be steadfast, unmovable, always about it to the work of the Most High. We love each and every one of you. Rakatah Shalom.
Yeah.